we were talking about A.J. Brown earlier this week on the show on Beetle and Friends. That day it was Joe Murray and Matt McCarthy, if I remember it correctly. Nope, it was Joe Murray and Tim McCone on Monday. And Joe Murray has been big on talking about the possibility of A.J. Brown getting moved. He said, A.J. Brown could get traded. They just signed Devontae Smith. They've given him 3 years and $75 million. And Joe wisely said, not about cap dollars, it's about real money. How much real money does a team want to be spending on wide receivers? I pushed back a little bit in saying, I don't know that they should want to dump A.J. Brown yet. Like, this is another one of those key window push type of years for Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and with Devontae Smith and with A.J. Brown. They want to be in it. So the smoke, though, Phil, is apparently real. Not that they want to move him, but that teams are calling on A.J. Brown. As Breer told us last night, several teams have called on A.J. Brown. They've all been told no. The money works much better next year. Like, if you do it in 12 months, it's better for them. They don't take this massive cap hit. They don't have to deal with all the accounting that goes along with that. And so they get pretty much a cost-controlled year again with this player, and then they can move him next offseason if they want to move him. So they're not going to do it now. But can we get to it, T-Bone? Do we have the audio of Bert revealing that your New England Patriots have called on this player? Let's hit it.
This isn't the sort of roster that Tom Brady would come back to begin with. Like, I think if Tom Brady is going to come back, it's going to be to some loaded roster that has a quarterback injury later in the year. And even that might not be likely. Maybe he was just saying that to stir the pot. I did have to run this up the flagpole with a few different people. Philadelphia has gotten inquiries on A.J. Brown, and they have shut them all down and told other teams that he is not available.
This is the kind of thing we react to. This is just covering the NFL in 2024. Oftentimes, the social media stuff does lead to stuff. So it's something that we always have to pay attention to. I would say the Patriots are interested in receiver help, and I think they would be open to trading for a veteran receiver.
And if, Bert, what you're saying is true, that teams have inquired about A.J. Brown, I would hope the Patriots are one of those teams.
They are.
They should be. They are one of those teams?
Yeah, they've inquired.
Look what I just did.
Look, yeah. Wow.
I just pulled that out of Bert Breer. There it is. Breaking news on the show right now. The Patriots inquired about A.J. Brown.
He loves that.
This is what they should be doing. He was immediately upset with me. I don't know why. I didn't do it. Like, what did I do to him? He was mad, though. It's like he forgot we were on TV, because you know why? Bert has so much information that will never make it onto the airwaves. It's disgusting how many things he will talk about off the air that he doesn't quite give you on the air because he can't, because he's got to protect his people. He's got to protect his sources. He can't let it all out of the bag. He let this one out, and that is they called on A.J. Brown. And by the way, the first thing was A.J. Brown was changing his avatar on Instagram yesterday to a picture of Tom Brady, which is where that discussion began. Would Tom Brady come back? Is it about A.J. Brown to New England? He's a Patriots fan. Was devastated when they didn't draft him.
Watched the dynasty.
Here's the news, though. They're calling on receivers. If you're calling on A.J. Brown, you're calling on real names, Phil.
Yeah. Does this surprise you? It shouldn't.
Well,
because they need help there, and they have money to spend.
It just feels kind of
And there are guys potentially available.
Doesn't it just feel kind of new? Because Bill Belichick would have never called on A.J. Brown. That's not Randy Moss. That's not some sort of reclamation project.
Right.
I don't think it feels new.
It feels
It
new.
would feel new if they actually made the move. That would feel new to me. Not calling.
That's fair.
Do you think Bill ever called on a guy like that, though? In his prime, real money coming his way over the next several years?
Sure. Called.
Called.
Sure. Actual interest in paying the guy and giving up what's required in terms of trade compensation? That's a different conversation.
So I hear that name, and that to me is like just a different class and different level of name that I ever would think that the Patriots would be interested in trading for.
I mean, he went out and got Antonio Brown.
Yeah, when it was Antonio Brown on the outs, and it was easy
Paid him
to
real money,
sign
though.
it. Yeah, and they on short term though.
Short term, and
Yeah.
you know what? I say real money. It felt like real money because he played one game for you and you paid him $8 million or whatever it was.
Yeah,
It ain't $8 million. Ain't 25 over the next couple of years or whatever is on A.J. Brown's contract right now. So those are different stratospheres. So I get what you're saying, Beetle. I understand what you're saying.
You're right, because that guy, Antonio Brown, Josh Gordon, they weren't sort of in their wheelhouse.
Financially.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. So I think your point is a fair one, Beetle. It does feel a little bit new, but this is what they should be doing. You know why? Because this is what normal teams do. This is what teams that need receiver help do, especially when they have money to spend. And so whether it's A.J. Brown, who to me, for them, would be the pie in the sky sort of opportunity if it ever presented itself. As you mentioned, Bert said last night, teams have been told emphatically he ain't available. But if you're telling me the choice is between A.J. Brown or T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk, let's just stick with those three names, big, outside the numbers, stud, number one types of receivers, I think A.J. Brown would be at the top of that list by a decent margin.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't disagree. This would be, I think, real compensation and real money. Like Antonio Brown got cut, right? I mean, he got traded from Pittsburgh to the Raiders, and then he had that weird, bizarre situation unfold with him with the Raiders before he got here and had everything that happened off the field with him.
A lot of bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the helmet thing. Remember that he wouldn't put on
helmet thing.
He wouldn't put on a helmet.
He froze his feet off.
Yeah,
right.
Toes.
In the cryo chamber or whatever it was.
Cryo chamber freezing. He had all kinds of weird crap going on there.
What are you giving up for A.J. Brown? Just curious. What are you comfortable giving up for him?
I would go, first of all, I would focus on future year picks. I would not want to give up this year's picks. I would try to focus on next year. And if it required a second rounder, I would do it.
For another year, a different year.
Yeah, not this year's.
Yeah.
How about a first rounder?
I'm not doing a first rounder.
Okay,
Yeah.
So then he's probably out then.
I don't know that anyone would give up a first rounder for him.
Didn't he just get traded for a first rounder? He just got traded. He's still in his prime. He just got traded for a first round pick. That's the kind of player he is. If you want to be realistic about it, let's talk about it in realistic terms. I know you don't want to give up a first rounder. I know you want to build through the draft. The Patriots themselves, they want to draft and develop. You want A.J. Brown, you're giving up a first round pick in all likelihood.
Is he a first rounder? He was kind of, I don't want to call him a malcontent.
He just got traded for a first round pick, Mark.
But the only reason I would do that is if I'm a team on the precipice of winning now, and that could be a missing piece.
Yeah. So that's not saying he ain't worth a first round pick, or that's not what he would garner in a trade. That's saying for the Patriots specifically, he's not worth a first round pick to you.
Right.
And I would lean in that same direction. If you have to give up a first round pick for that guy, that for this team, that hurts a little too much.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense for them.
Because that's going to be a high first rounder, I think, again next year.
Yep.
As do I, which is why I want to call it a second rounder and not a first rounder. And because I think first rounders are too valuable. That's what I think it is too.
So you're not going to get A.J. Brown, unfortunately for you.
What about someone else that is, again, worth doing a trade for? Not a guy who's got issues or has burned out wherever he is. We're talking, high-end talent.
Brandon Ayuk. Is that high enough for you?
I'm not giving up a first rounder for Brandon Ayuk.
What if you could get him for a second or a future first or a future second because he only has 1 year left on his deal?
That'd be interesting in that. Not a future
might
first.
Be losing him anyway.
Future second. That I would do. But you got to pay him. You got to tell me that you're going to pay him.
Of course.
Too. Okay. Well, then I'm gonna do that. But just the fact that they're in on these types of names tells me if they're calling on A.J. Brown, they've called on Brandon Ayuk. They've called on T. Higgins. They had to have made at least these calls, which leads me to believe we might actually see this team do a deal for a real receiver. They might be able to recover from blowing it with Calvin Ridley this offseason. I have hope for them. And I don't have a lot of hope with the Patriots these days. I have a little bit of hope on this particular item.
Feels good, doesn't it? Hope's an
it might be false hope. They might be the interest kings. They might be what the Red Sox do, which is tell you they call on everyone, and they don't actually get any deals done, to Mark's point. Like, is it new? They didn't do the deal. They didn't get the guy. They were told no. I just have a little bit of hope. A little bit. I like that nugget of information. That's a guy with 3 years left on his contract and real money, and you'd have to give up real capital.
Out there just for you guys, and I don't know if it's going to go along with this, but how about this situation? And I know we're all talking about the quarterback at 3, but Minnesota, let's say they were going to trade up, and the Patriots could get Justin Jefferson and go back down to whatever it is, 23. Would you think about that? Get Justin Jefferson, draft another receiver at 23, Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, and then deal with the quarterback later. Would that excite you or no?
Absolutely not.
So you have Justin Jefferson, a first-round wide receiver.
Yeah.
And then you could maybe get Penix. You could get Rattler. You could get Bo Nix.
Big Rattler guy over here, by the way.
Big Rattler
Phil.
guy.
Hey, same.
Hey, if you like that clip, check out more videos from Zolak and Bertrand right here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.